And on that note, hello everybody. I'm AJ Palmgren, Knight Rider historian, for those who don't know, which is probably a few of you because you rarely see me. So, I'm AJ, I'm the other Knight Rider historian. And this is Eric Wang.
Assistant Knight Rider historian.
Actually, that's assistant to the Knight Rider historians.
Well, same thing.
No, it's a little lower.
Well, it's close. Anyway, today we are going to talk about this big red monstrosity here. And you might be asking yourself, what is this red thing? Well, if you keep your scanners peeled and tune into this channel, you're going to find out.
Chances are you already know exactly what it is. Because you guys are Knight Rider fans. You know what this is.
What is this?
Okay, AJ, so can you walk the fans through that may have not seen this before and tell us what it is?
Well, this is the Knight 4000. The Knight 4000 was used as KITT. This is KITT, but KITT from 1991 in the made-for-TV movie Knight Rider 2000, as if this wasn't all confusing enough, right? We have KITT, which is the Knight Industries 2000 from the original series. Then this is a continuation of the original series. But now KITT is the Knight Industries 4000, so he's KIFT, but he's still KITT. And he's red, not black, even though KITT always prefers basic black. But hey, it still looks cool.
It does look cool.
Because it's based on a Pontiac Banshee.
Which was a
Pontiac concept car. Reading directly from Wikipedia now. Known within GM as the Banshee 4, this car was unveiled in 1988. The two-door, four-seater Banshee 4 had a sleek and sensuous futuristic design. Its fiberglass body was painted bright red, while its triangular hood was matte black. A 230-horsepower, fuel-injected, single-overhead cam V8 engine powered the rear wheels. A heads-up display system projected information about speed, engine RPM, and fuel level on the windshield in the driver's field of vision. The dashboard featured video displays and numerous buttons. The steering wheel alone contained about 20. The dual rear wings were also adjustable. I didn't know that. That's very cool. Like its predecessors, because, evidently this is not the first Banshee that was created. It was intended to establish exterior and interior design themes that would be modified for the production version of the Pontiac Firebird. The Banshee 4 successfully influenced the overall appearance for the fourth generation of the Firebird, as well as extending to the fourth generation of the Chevy Camaro. It was 201 inches long. And my favorite part about this is the section, The Banshee in the Media. The March 1989 issue of Motor Trend magazine included a 3-page article describing the Banshee 4. And the second point, the most important one, a vehicle heavily modified after the Banshee 4 appeared as the Knight Industries 4000 in Knight Rider 2000, 1991 sequel TV movie, although a customized 1991 Dodge Stealth ES was actually used. Well, today, we're going to learn a little bit more about that, although the 1991 Dodge Stealth does seem to be mostly absent here.
Now, can you help clear up some of the confusion for some of our fans who might be seeing this and wonder, well, if this is KITT, why does KITT not have any wheels and have these cart wheels underneath it?
Well, because KITT has multiple vehicles. sometimes in this made-for-TV movie, KITT is actually built on a 1991 Dodge Stealth. And KITT is a couple of different Dodge Stealths, both 1991 chassis.
A Dodge? Who would have thought?
Yeah, it's a Dodge. But, you know, the Banshee is a Pontiac, which it's made to look like that. In the 1991 made-for-TV movie, KITT is actually 3 cars, if I'm not mistaken. Is it more? No, I lied. KITT is 4 cars, right? KITT is a 1991 Dodge Stealth, made to look just like this, as the hero car. Another one as a stunt car. A third one as a boat car, which is amazing. Yes, I did see that at J. Orberg's shop back at that particular day. And this one. This one is called an insert car. Come on around. Now it's time to walk. Why is it called an insert car? Well, there's a couple of different definitions of that, but as you can see here, got the whole thing. Because it's only half a car! Where's the other half? Well, it doesn't exist. And actually, is it really a car? No. It's a fiberglass shell of half a car. Well, probably 2/3 of a car, because the manufacture ends right here. And so this was used on a sound stage, a studio stage at Universal Studios for the actors to sit in, and the camera was back here, and you could actually see the interior. And you can see the actors from behind the actors and actually get in. And if you've ever seen a Dodge Stealth and realize that the back seat technically exists, but it's pretty much non-existent, even though it technically exists, there's no way you're going to get a camera back there and a crew and be able to get the angles that you actually want to be able to see inside the car. So this is something that's done for a lot of TV and movie productions where you actually want to shoot inside a car where it's not practical to do otherwise. And J. Orberg, when he cranked out those other 3 vehicles, if you can call all 3 of them a vehicle, because there's a boat a vehicle, yeah, why not? He also cranked this out, all of the same mold. And it's kind of an amazing thing what he did here. It's he made one big mold out of this thing. Now, for J. Orberg, if you know any of his other cars, by the time he did this stuff was old hat. He had been cranking out crazy, you know, for lack of a better term, fantasy mobiles of all kinds of crazy stuff since at least the 70s, if not the late 60s. And so by the time he got to making, designing and making this car for that TV movie, and it was a TV movie, he was old hat at just making one big. He knew how to crank out those fantasy mobiles. He made small molds and big molds for everything. So for him to have one mold for this, well, why not just crank out one more? You know, actually, there's another car that was never used in the TV movie that he also cranked out, and I think it's called the Taz or the Tasmanian. Strange story. The only time I ever displayed this car in public so far, that car showed up and parked right next to it.
Does it look like this? Or is
From the front, identical. From the back, radically different. But we'll have to, that story's for another time. And we'll have to pull up some old pictures. We'll have to dig up some old pictures to show you what that looked like. And I won't even go into that story today.
Not till you subscribe to the channel.
So this was actually sculpted and built back in 1991 by J. Orberg. And in 2008, I actually got it from J. Orberg himself. I think I arranged to buy it from him in 2007. And it was right after a visit that I made to him in Oceanside, California. I was actually in California, I think, as part of the rescue of our second original Knight Rider car from the original series, right? When I actually went to California to make the deal to save that car, to save that original car, I stopped by J. Orberg's shop, And he had this behind his shop, and it was just sitting there. And I said, "Ooh, of all the cool things you have here in the shop," and he had everything, right? He had the pink Mercedes limo with the heart-shaped hot tub in the back. He had one of his guitar vehicles that stretched halfway across the warehouse. You know, it was full of probably 16 or 18 different of his cars, all shoved in there. I mean, this was quite a while ago. I spent some time in his office. He went through a few pictures. His office there, right next to his shop. Actually, it wasn't next to his shop. It was actually in his shop. But anyway, it was a really nice day. Spent some time with him. But of course, my attention was drawn to this in the back because this was the most Knight Rider related thing that was there. Now I take that back. The boat car was there. The boat car that you can see at Deezerland in Orlando. And I have a feeling that we're going to be giving you some footage of that very soon, because I know Joe's going to visit it quite soon. So anyway, that was actually in there, and this was behind the shop. So I took an interest in this because I said, well, this is this is kind of an interesting thing here. And he said, yeah. He said, I'm thinking about selling it. And I said, well, let me know. And I think I had gotten back home and went back to business for about a month. And then he called me and he said, hey, Jay, something's come up. I need to sell that thing. So we made a deal. I wired him some money. And he promised to deliver it to me. And I guess other things happened in his life at the time, and he wasn't actually able to follow through with that. So I think a year and a half later, I went back to California with a car and with a hitch on it, and got a light-duty utility trailer and modified it so that this would fit on it. And I actually picked it up myself with that utility trailer. So that's actually how I got it. And I've actually had it in storage pretty much since then in various locations. So, as you can see, it looks like it's kind of been neglected for a little while. Thankfully, it hasn't been rotting outside. It's always been inside in as dry a place as possible, and try to keep it as protected as possible. So, most of what was on it when I got it is actually still here. Matter of fact, everything that was on it when I got it is actually still here. And if we clean it up, it'll get kind of shiny again. So anyway, come on over here, Eric. Here it is. It's half a car. Big, cavernous, whatever. So it's in pretty much the same condition that I got it from Jay, except it's gotten a little dirty here in the storage, but stay right there. This is it. It's a fiberglass shell made to look like a car, and these are what's left of actual 1991 Dodge Stealth door panels. Most of this rot happened in the California sun because I've kept it in storage in the dark all of these years. But it's still in pretty shad shape and kind of hanging off. But let's face it, I don't think these were ever really well attached to begin with, because this was never used for anything other than the actors are going to sit in here and talk to each other and display the dash.
Which many movie studios still use the same tactic today.
Same tactic today.
All sorts of insert cars. I've seen them for even, like, I think Mark Wahlberg and the Transformers. I saw on the set they were doing stuff like that. Now, you mentioned that fiberglass molds, but it looks like there's other materials that were also used.
Sure. That's plywood, isn't it? So it's a mixture of plywood and fiberglass here. So, and why not? If you're just going to cut off the back side and you need to make a flat surface, why not just put in some wood? See, this is the craftsmanship. Just to imagine to be able to crank out stuff like this from nothing. Right? Just create it from wood and buckets of fiberglass. I'm just always amazed by the talent of people that can do that.
And usually on a pretty short time constraint.
Yes. And so pretty much every creation of Jay's that I've ever seen, I'm impressed with. Of course, he's not the only one that has done this kind of thing, but he's the one that made this car. So we'll talk about him. Yeah, door panel. So anyway, it's here.
It's safe.
It's here. It's safe.
Secure.
It belongs to the Knight Rider historians. Do you want to see it restored? Do you want to see it restored?
Yes.
Well, I think we can make that happen. But you're going to be a part of it. It's up to you. First, you got to subscribe to our channel.
Yes. So, AJ, what are these 3 round
The round discs?
cylindrical objects?
Ah, yes. Well, there's a few things missing from this car. But first, come on over here. Let me show you something before we get to that. The innovation that Jay put into this is really kind of amazing because, talk about a beautiful piece that's also quick and dirty at the same time. Have a look at this. See these doors? I guess they open, although I'm kind of scared to open them. You see what this is? Of course, these are hinges, right? Mm-hmm. But what kind of hinges are they?
The standard door hinges?
Yes. Like this. Walk over here real quick. Door hinges.
That looks familiar.
Like that. They just open right here. While the dogs bark.
We let the dogs out.
That's why we keep the door shut. All right, back over here. Door hinges. So, needless to say, these things aren't going to last very long because they don't really line up with the curve of the car. But it only needs to open, what?
A couple times.
Well, maybe a dozen times. And in a very controlled environment. So, quick and dirty, but it worked. Again, at this point, I'm kind of afraid to open the door, so I'm not going to do that today because it might fall off and I'm not ready to deal with that. We're going to save that for the restoration whenever that happens.
Sooner than we might think.
Sooner than we might think. Or later than we might think. Yeah, so there it is. I mean, the base of it really is plywood and a metal frame. And I'm sure that Jay and his people just welded this metal frame together from scratch, probably one of their standard things right there on the floor, and just kind of threw it together, probably in an hour or 3, because they were just very skilled at this kind of thing. All right, interior. Something's missing. Let's take what's missing? Could it be this? Hey, it's the dash. All right, let's take care of that. That's how we do this. All right, so I'm going to reach in here, and you're going to do the same thing, right? Exactly. And let's see if we can just set this. There we go. Now, that piece of wood right there. Mm-hmm. All right, hold this right here. Yep, just keep it from flopping. This piece of wood right here is something I think I put in to display this. The one time that I displayed this back in, what year was it? 2010. All right, go ahead and set that down. This was cut just to hold this up. And it would just set on here. Now, what I don't know is if it'll still do it today, and it doesn't appear it will very well. Why not? And now I want you to tell me, does this go, Eric, does this go to the bottom or the top? Bottom or top? assistant to the Knight Rider historians. We neither one of us know. Well, we didn't get that right. Oh well. We will next time. Now, does it go like that? Does it go like that?
I think that's the way, but
It looks better, right?
yeah.
Okay. Doesn't look right.
I think it's supposed to be on the bottom.
All right, so these things, I believe, are part of the door. But I can't exactly tell you what part of the door yet. But they're clearly similar shape. Let's have a look. We're just discovering it with you. So that kind of fits, doesn't it? Yeah. So this probably at one time was actually mounted in here to help the door fit properly, but no longer. And I wonder, was there ever glass here? That's actually a very good question. Yes. As I understand it, there was, a left and a right window actually fixed in place, and this probably is one of the things that held it in place. And I distinctly remember Jay telling me, come on over here. I distinctly remember Jay telling me, I'll wait to get over here. There. I distinctly remember Jay telling me that a standard Dodge Stealth windshield will fit in here. And all you need to do is to call the glass company, and they'll just deliver it right out and put a windshield in. I find that sounded so absurd to me at the time, but I guess eventually we'll find out if a standard Dodge Stealth windshield really will fit in here, because I'm pretty sure you can still get them. Ah, yes. So this one, this one still has some of the rubber molding. So this one actually came off of a Dodge Stealth right here. There we go. So this is clearly some original window molding. And so this would actually go on the chassis of the car, so it would bolt to this. And so we will eventually figure out exactly how that fits. And so it's very likely that these were actually mounted in here and removed or came off. And these, of course, were off the car by the time I got it from Jay. So we've just kept them with it. So I'm going to set this right back in here. And we're going to set this right back in here. That's the spare tire.
Puzzle piece.
Right. Yeah, you think we're going to get rid of that if that comes off? Of course not. We kept everything. Otherwise, how do you put it back together?
Even like the paint chips and everything
Yeah.
lines up.
Look at that. I put it in a bag, and I put the date on it that I put it in the bag.
Nice.
That's what we do. That's what we do. Huh.
Like an ashtray or something?
No.
Oh.
It goes there. Just didn't look right in the shadows. All right. So does this look better? Does this look a little bit more familiar?
Much better.
So the deal is, this, of course, this whole thing is, original was actually used in that movie. This dash, Jay cranked this thing out of the mold probably when he agreed to sell it to me. He just cranked this thing out of the mold. So this was new in his mold, and he still had the molds for this at this time. Now, what happened to those, we don't know yet. But at the time that I got this car from him, he still had the mold for this dash. So he cranked this thing out. So this piece is new out of mold from Jay Orberg in '07 when I agreed to buy this car from him. And so, of course, this came with it. And then I think that wheel right there, yeah, go ahead and pick that one up. Yeah. I can't remember which one I got from him. This looks really, really rough. But I think it was this that I actually got from him. Really, really, really rough. I mean, it looks really rough. This one actually has some history, and I have gotten it since. So, looks a little nicer, so I just put it there. But I think this is the one that Jay provided that came with it. What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to look at my own pictures from when I last displayed this thing, because at the time it would have been the only one I have. Now, as you can see, there's 3 of them. So they multiplied over the years, and I just put them in here because, well, doesn't it belong here?
Can you talk about, you mentioned this one has some history.
Yeah, but I don't think we don't have time for this. How long you want to spend here? We don't have time for that yet.
Okay.
We'll have to save that for another video.
Hence the need to subscribe to the channel. Can you talk about, AJ, the dash a little bit? Is this the similar setup as what they would have had when they were filming in the insert card?
Supposedly it's identical. I mean, except it's out of the mold. So there's no instrumentation cut into it.
Would they have instrumentation, though, when they're filming the insert car?
Let's do our documentation. We're the historians, right? Shouldn't we show some screenshots? Shouldn't we analyze some of that? Shouldn't we look at the information that we have on the remaining cars that are still around today and the pictures that we have, or pictures
or should
that we
save that for the Patreon subscribers?
Well, we save a lot of exclusive content for the Patreon supporters. And thank you. We appreciate all of you. Now it's clogged.
You put too much dirt in there.
Really? I've clogged it already. It doesn't suck anymore. Jeez.
I think you need to empty it.
Oh, look. Vacuum cleaner. I think I got this just so I could vacuum this out for the last time I displayed it in public. Well, I'd say it certainly needs it again. Wow. Yep, sure enough. I went to a Home Depot or Lowe's parking lot, and I bought plywood and 4x4s, and I put it on the frame. I screwed it all together.
How did you just pull this up with a winch? How did you get it out of the trailer?
Yeah, come along. which is a form of winch. All right, did those come out of it?
Yes.
Those 4x4s, I have a feeling those are part of the trailer that were left over from the construction materials of the trailer. That's probably why they're in there. This. So I think the night before I displayed this last, I just wrote this up on a document. Then I went to Kinko's and I had it printed on a big poster size. Just to explain exactly what it is. What's it say? Let's see if I can remember what I wrote. Knight Industries 4000 insert car. This car is unrestored. This car is an unrestored original. Bold, underlined, because it is. It was used in the movie Knight Rider 2000, aired on NBC May 19th, 1991, with a rerun date of September 1st, 1991, because, you know, the Knight Rider historians care about that kind of stuff. Insert cars are used for scenes which require camera angles that are not practical for a complete car. That's pretty good. Glad I wrote that. This insert car, the full KITT cars, and the boat car were made by J. Orberg and Associates. During filming, the interior of this car was complete with dashboard, steering wheel, and seats. The dash and wheel displayed here are replicas from the original molds from J. At least they were at the time. Special care has been taken to preserve all aspects of this car that were used on camera, even though the paint and interior are deteriorated. Oh, they're deteriorated. And are not pretty. They're all original. A.J. Palmgren, Knight Rider historian. There it is. That's what I wrote up at the time, so I'd say that's pretty good.
Screen used?
By me.
Thank you for coming to the Knight Rider Festival 2 in Las Vegas. I have with me one of the original insert cars that was used in the 1991 made-for-TV movie Knight Rider 2000. KITT was made out of a Dodge Stealth with modifications that were similar to the Pontiac Banshee. Now this is an insert car, which means it's not an entire car. It's a shell and it's half the car, and it was used for filming for that movie for camera angles where a full car is not practical. And so it's a piece of television history, it's a piece of Knight Rider history, and it, although it's very interesting looking, is an original KITT from Knight Rider. So even if you're the only one to say, yeah, that means it was worth it to me.
She was there.
It was worth it to me. You the guy, Scott. Absolutely.
Have a good day.
You too, man. We'll see you. All right, here we are. I will. Thank you. Gentlemen. Thank you.
hold my stomach any fun. George Barris, Tony Wood, AJ, and this is his insert car from night 2000.
It's a body insert car that's only a half a car. Only half a car. If you want the other half a car, you got to send a coupon in to the local drugstore. Thank you for coming to Night Rider Festival Las Vegas. Very good.
Great being here.
2011. I hope so. I'll make sure we don't get a big L with it. I hope so. You know, you never know. I guess it's up to whatever happens.
Okay, let's get out of here. We're late.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. Being a Night Rider historian who wants to preserve things for the people for the real diehard fans like me, others like me that are really interested in something crazy like this. We'll make the right decision, whatever it is.
Are you planning on putting maybe like the windshield back in it, or
It's possible.
So, can you tell us about the interior? Do you want to?
Sure, let's talk about the interior. Absolutely. Let's take this down. So I'll sit in right here. Am I blocking anything important like to do? Yeah, that's good. Okay.
So this originally had a real dash in it?
According to Jay Orber, and of course it would make sense if we watched the, if we watched Night Rider 2000, probably figure out which scenes this thing was in.
Right.
Because clearly it would have been very good for scenes where the camera is behind the driver or the driver and the passenger. You know, the Hoff, and you get to see the dash, and who knows? But I mean, we can. I haven't taken the time to really do that since I got this car. But we all could do that if we want. I'm sure at some point I will, you will, she will. Who knows?
Right.
I know the guy who is the Night 4000 archivist. He has a website dedicated to. I can guarantee you, Scott will probably be the most likely person to do that. So I'll work with him on that. But according to answer your question, according to Jay Warburg, and it makes sense to all of us, that this car had a fully functioning dash, right? And seats. Actually, he said they didn't have seats because he made the seats himself. I asked him about the seats. I always thought they came out of an early 90s Ford Astro van. I think, they had the open headrest. Am I right about that? Anybody remember the early 90s Astro vans?
I don't remember.
Was it an Astro? No, Chevy made the Astro. Ford made the Aerostar.
Okay.
Ford made the Aerostar maybe. And my memory might be wrong here, so somebody should correct me.
Well, the base car was a Dodge Stealth, I think.
Well, I'm getting there. And I'm just talking about me for a minute, so forgive me for the rabbit trail. But I always thought those seats came out of a Ford Aerostar van because they had the open headrest style, and it would have been the same era. But Jay told me, he said, no, we built those seats ourselves. We built the frame out of metal, and then we had our upholstery people work with the foam, and we custom made those seats just like that, so that so they had the open headrest, stunt men, and what have you. So he custom made the seats that went in the Hero cars, and he custom made the seats right here. And there's holes clearly where the seats are bolted in both cases. So this would have had seats, full interior. There would have been a headliner in it. There's evidence of where the headliner was. The door panels would have been nice and new, and the headliner would have been complete. So in here, it would have looked just like a real car. Not only a real car, it would look just like the inside of the Knight Industries 4000 from Night Rider 2000. That sounds so confusing. So that's the way it is. So the dash would have been finished with the wheel, and the seats would have been there. It would have been here, and the carpet would have been new. This would be the original carpet after 20 years of dirt and dust. I'll get myself dirty. But it all would have been there. Now what you see here is a dash and a wheel that Jay made for me not long ago. He says that he used the same exact molds that he used to build these for the movie, for the Night Rider 2000 movie. So, I think that sounds pretty reasonable. And so these were recently made out of those molds. We just put them up here for display purposes. But I'm sure that there was a fully functioning dash in here when filming was was done with this particular piece, but these are not it. So the only thing on this car that is not original would be this and the things that are holding them in place. Everything else, every bracket, every piece of carpet, every screw, as far as I know, is what was used in the original series. Especially the paint, why it looks so crappy. It hasn't been repainted. And then fiberglass in are pieces of plywood here. So there's plywood cuts, all right, and the plywood is held in because the fiberglass is molded into it, just like right here. See, the firewall is a piece of plywood, and the fiberglass just comes right up and meets it. So, you know, there certainly is plywood. The floor is plywood. So it's fiberglass, plywood, and a metal frame, and hinges that belong in a house door, not a car door. But they worked, and you know, when this car was just built, it looked this, I'm sure, just about this pretty, or at least as close as it needed to be on camera with the resolution that, you know, was used for movies, made-for-TV movies in 1991. That's as I understand it. I have the privilege of being there and working on these things, but having not been there and worked on these things, that's what I was able to learn. So that's what we have. Great. Yeah. So fiberglass, wood, plywood, screws. I do know that these door panels were from, you know, were out of a 1991 Dodge Stealth. So, you know, because that was the base, as I understand it, that was the base car that, you know, that they built the Knight 4000 on. And of course, the inspiration for the modifications to the Dodge Stealth came from the Pontiac Banshee. Now, George came over here and he said to me several times, he said, well, they built that on a Camaro. You know, I never want to argue with George Barris, but I don't know, you know, which one that is. So I guess as we figure this out and we figure out what our history is, we figure out where the Camaro story came from, and you know, maybe George made one on a Camaro, but Jay made one on a Dodge Stealth. So we'll figure that out. Obviously, there's some disconnect there, but we're really true historians.
I've never heard that one.
So the door panels are from a Dodge Stealth because you know, in the full hero car, they would have been the panels that came with the Dodge Stealth because those weren't changed. Right. You know, the back end was very modified. Clearly, the front was very modified, but the car that drove, wheels, the seats, it was a Dodge Stealth. So very interesting. As far as I know. So please, we'll interview George, and George will tell us if it's a Camaro, and then we'll have to figure out who's telling the truth.
I think there's photos of it as a Dodge Stealth. So.
Yeah, it's a Dodge.
Yes.
I mean, that's pretty good. Okay, so was that more than enough?
That was plenty.
Yeah, we're gonna cut that down. Well, good. All right, so yesterday you said you wanted to sit in the car. You still want to sit in the car?
I thought you were meaning the original.
Yeah, I knew you thought that. Yeah, you don't want to sit in this car.
No, not this one.
No? Okay. Well, you can't say I didn't offer.
No.
No.
Any other sections or topics of this insert car today that you would like to discuss, AJ?
No, I don't think we have any more time.
Everything else will have to wait for another day.
All right.
The scanner or lack thereof will have to wait for another day.
Well, like, subscribe, share to the channel until that other day comes.
I'm AJ Palmgren. We are the Knight Rider Historians, and we thank you for watching. Take care.